You're listening to the Daily Actor Interview Podcast. I'm Lance Carter. Today we're talking with voiceover casting director Andrea Romano. At this past WonderCon, I talked to Andrea Romano. She's a voiceover casting director, and she is like one of the top people working today. She does all of the DC animated films, and her most recent film is Superman Unbound, starring Molly C. Quinn as Supergirl and Matt Bomer as Superman. Andrea is also the voice director on the film, which means she's listening to the actors' work and helping them round out their performances, sometimes even giving the actors line readings after they've done like 5 or 6 takes. She said the actors like that, just so they can get on and move on to something else. Andrea was very cool, and you're definitely going to like this interview. She talks about voice casting and finding the right voices, not caring if the actors are known or not, auditioning over the phone, and getting the right ahs and arghs. Did you guys like that? I should be in Superman Unbound too, shouldn't I? Hey, I really do appreciate it when you support the advertisers. Every little click does help. Also, do you need a website? Because Daily Actor makes them now. We also sell casting director mailing labels, and we have a great actors resource page. Check that out, and be sure to take a look at our other interviews on dailyactor.com. And now, here's Andrea.
I'm going to start with Matt Bomer.
Okay.
Talk to us. I mean, I know he almost played him for McGee and possibly.
Matt is such a good actor, and when we were all talking about thoughts for this character, we found out that Matt was a fan of our work, what we had done before in the various different DC projects, and so that's always a step in the right direction. They're familiar with the work that we do, and then they're really good actors. So you already got half the battle won.
Right.
Then it was a matter of scheduling, which for an actor like Matt is really a nightmare. Just like it is for Molly and Stana and everybody else who's got on-camera series that shoot 16, 18-hour days and 5 days a week, if not 6. So, but we did get a beautiful cast put together. Matt is, he's got a vulnerable quality that I think is key for Superman. I think there's got to be strength to Superman, but I think there's also got to be a sensitivity that you don't see in a lot of other superhero characters like Batman. You hardly ever get to see Batman's soft underbelly, you know what I mean? But Superman, you have to have this kind of, you have to have the idea that he could be in love with Lois Lane, that he's got that much emotional, you know, that he's not afraid to extend that much emotion, and Matt had that. So wonderful to work with, too.
Was it more that the story lent itself as a perfect time moment for Matt to come as Superman, or was it?
Yes, this particular story I think fit his voice and his acting, kind of his acting sensitivities, you know, his sensibilities, where he would go with it. And what was so great is, you know, sometimes you hire an actor because they have a great vocal quality and you're familiar with their work, and then they come in and they aren't quite on the same page as you are, and sometimes that works in their advantage, where you go, you know, I didn't think of playing it that way, but it's valid and it's good, let's go with that. And then other times you go, when I look at the whole arc of the story, we have to get from here to here to here, and where you're starting is never going to get us there in time. So let's make a little adjustment. Then you kind of gently move an actor to that performance without forcing anything on them. My favorite kind of actors are the ones that have their own ideas and come in with their own thoughts, but who also understand when I say, okay, we've done 5, 6 takes of your thought, and we're not there yet. We can either spend 15 more minutes waiting for you to find it organically, or I can tell you how to do that line. And mostly they go, oh, tell me. Just tell me and we'll move on, because, you know, we can be done 15 minutes faster for every single line. So, and that's what every actor in this cast was like. They all were like, I have my ideas, let me do that first, and then I also throw some ideas at them and see what cuts together. Sometimes we'll have 5, 6 choices of takes that we have to sort of listen in context and go, now which one fits best with what this actor did 3 weeks earlier, and see how that flows. And so we're constantly editing and putting things together.
Do you guys like to be in the same room or location?
I love that.
I mean, do they? I know the actors are busy. Do
right.
they go to separate locations sometimes?
Well, I try to do ensemble records wherever I can, and we always get the best performances when we can do that. Not that we don't. Not that we get lesser performances when we have the actors separately, but when the actors record separately, say I record you 3 weeks ago I recorded you, 2 weeks ago I recorded you last week. Then when we get the picture together and your voices together, we go, you know what? He sounded like he was talking to somebody right next to him. In the same scene, he sounded like you were across the room, and it doesn't make sense. You know, the levels are wrong. So we have to either bring your level down and have you speaking like it's conversational, or bring yours up and make it sound like you're across the room from each other. So that's kind of a fail-safe at the end. But my job is to make sure that it sounds like they all recorded in the same room at the same time, and that they're reacting to each other. Because a big part of acting is reacting. You're going to respond to me based on what you hear from me. If I say to you something like this, it's going to elicit a response from you. If I say something to you like this, you're going to have a different response. So my job is to remember what the actor before them did, so I can read them into the line, and they can give me the appropriate response.
Now, do they have the storyboards ahead of time to get a sense of where the characters are in the scene?
If they ask for a storyboard, we will supply them. They almost never do. Most actors don't really know how to read a storyboard. They know how to read a script, a shooting script, where it has all the stage directions and everything. But when we bring them into the recording session, we typically give them what's called a dialogue-only script, and it only has their words. So it's my job to say, you know what, during that line, you're actually running and leaping across buildings. So you can't just record it this way. You have to record it like this, so it makes sense. So that it would help if they did look at the storyboards. When I used to direct SpongeBob, we always gave the actors the storyboards ahead of time, and it worked a lot faster. And we had to do a far less ADR at the end because they were actually looking at the picture. They could see what was going to happen. But that isn't always the way with these.
When they record, and say you have actors that record in different places, different times, do you do some playbacks to the actor currently recording so they can
Every once in a while I've done that. More often than not, it's my job to act for them and read that in. And the thing is, that would take so much time, because sometimes, like, I'll record you at 9 o'clock in the morning and you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and to find the takes of his that we liked for sure and play those for you so that you read it right will take us so much time because it's not edited yet. So it's just a time issue. And especially with celebrities who can give me like a 4-hour block and that's it. I don't have enough time to mess around with playing back stuff.
Now, I got to talk to Wally Berg, who's quite fond of you.
Thank you.
And Wally has an ear to where he can actually hear an audition on the phone.
Sure.
How long has it taken for you to get that ear?
I got that pretty fast, because you learn that you can't deal with the visual. You have to just listen. And so whenever I listen to auditions, I close my eyes and listen to them. And phone auditions are the best. I mean, for actors, how great is that? I'll have a role that's 7 or 8 lines. I've got all the rest of the cast filled up. I call an agent, I say, I need someone who could do this. I'm going to fax you the copy or email you the copy. Give it to your actor, have them call me at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Well, I'll read them over the phone. And I listen to them. I direct them a little bit. I find out if they're directable, and I book them, or I go on to the next person. So it's just a brilliant thing to be able to so quickly hear somebody.
What is it about Stana that brought this this version of Lois to the table?
It's Lois is always a very tough character to cast, in that she has to be strong. She's an investigative reporter, so she's used to being, playing with the boys. She's tough. She's the one that get the answers. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty to get the story. But there's got to be a soft vulnerability to her too that would make somebody love her, like Clark Kent. And so Stana has that, and we've seen that on camera. We've seen her do that work. And the other thing about working with someone like Nathan is I'm not afraid to call up Nathan Fillion and say, Nathan, how is so-and-so to work with? And there's a couple of actors that I've used whose names maybe aren't recognizable, but they've been on the show on Castle as like a guest. And I'll call up and go, that guy's voice is so great, raspy, and he always plays these bad guys, and how was he to work with? And Nathan will text me back real quick, great guy, my new best friend, hire him in a minute. And so and I'm not afraid to call up people that I know that I've worked with before that work with those actors to find out, because I'll get any information I can from anybody. I'll ask the agent, I'll ask other actors that work with them, managers, publicists, all those kinds of people, other casting directors, other directors. All the time we all share information. How was so-and-so to work with? Well, we got a great performance, but it wasn't easy. So you go, am I willing to put that extra work in because this actor is so wonderful and their name will mean something, and because I think they're the right casting? And when it comes to to the bottom line, though, you guys, I want the right actor for the role. I don't care if they're a celebrity or not. To me, it does not matter if they are a name. If it's a rank-and-file actor who's exactly right to play that character, I will fight for that actor. I really will. And somebody else is going to have to convince me that somebody else is a better idea. So I really want to get the best actor for the role of your costume.
This film seemed, did you go for people for this film with a bit of a lighter touch? Because there's definitely a lot more, even if they're subtle, a lot more humor than I think we've ever had in any of these films.
I agree. There was a style about this that we did go, it's not a slugfest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are so many, not so many, but there are some DC properties that are, out of a 70-minute film, there's like 25 minutes of pure fighting, just recording for hours and hours and hours. This one is not as full of that. There's a lot of emotional stories here, a lot of loss and a lot of desire to regain that which is lost, because it's not lost forever. It's things that have been stolen and trying to get them back. Cities that have been stolen, trying to get those people back. Family members that are gone but not dead, trying to get them back. The longing. And the character of Supergirl is so great because she's always learning. She's the newest visitor to the planet, so she's constantly learning everything. How to behave in this new world, how to dress in this new world, how to treat people in this new world, how to use her powers in this world. You think about the average 15, 16-year-old girl, she's just having a hard time dealing with what's going on in life. Now you've got a 16-year-old girl with superpowers. She's got a lot to learn, and she's got a really good teacher in Superman.
You just made those fighting noises. Do you have them written down on a script, or do you say, how do they...
I work with a brilliant editor named Kelly Downs, and I've worked with her from Hanna-Barbera days, so that would have been since 1984. And she has learned how to do it. She preps all my ADR. She sits there with me and determines all those sounds. And she will literally, and I've learned after all these years, exactly what she means when she writes AAH exclamation point, or if it's AAUGGHH exclamation point, exclamation, exclamation. I know that second one is instead of which is what the first one was. So, and she sits beside me when we record. So we do all this, and she's got I'll call her up sometimes and say, Kelly, how would you spell a kiss? And she'll go MWAHHH. Oh, great. So when I write it out, it's like, mwah.
Thanks, Andrea, and thank you guys for listening. Keep coming back to Daily Actor for more great interviews, news from film, TV and theater, and so much more. Follow me on Twitter at Daily Actor, and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/dailyactor. Thanks for supporting the advertisers. I'm Lance, and I'll talk to you soon.